and how that leads to fast twitch muscles. It doesn't make a lot of sense like to just look at it and say, how does a wall sit train fast twitch muscles? You're just sitting there.
What's going on, guys? Coach Matt and Yugo Pro Baseball, and I'm here again with Craig Stem, right-handed pitcher. We're going to talk about in this video how to throw 99 miles an hour safely, because my man Craig here was able to do that. He threw his fastest ever was 99, probably sat around what, 93 to 95 range.
Right.
Started throwing a sinker, throwing that sinker around 95 mile an hour. But the crazy thing is, he's never really been hurt in his career. Hasn't had Tommy John, hasn't had shoulder surgery. He's been able to pitch at a high velocity for a very long time.
Right.
So I'm excited to dive deep into this video on how to pitch faster safely, keeping your arms free from injury, because that's what he did. So we're gonna jump into it. But before we do, I wanna talk about something really cool that Craig's got going on. He sells these watch straps. If you got an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, whatever kind of watch you're rocking, he's got some really cool straps made from baseballs, made from baseball gloves. You gotta check them out. I'll leave the link down below in the description. Go check them out right now. But let's get into it. How are you able to throw so fast, but stay free from injury? Keep your arm, what was your nickname when you were playing in Latin America?
In Venezuela, they called me Brazo de Goma.
What does that mean?
It means the rubber arm.
The rubber arm.
The rubber arm.
So how were you able to do all this?
For me, it was the mechanics, man. I mean, I'm 6'6", 230 pounds, so my size plays a role. I don't want somebody who's 5'8", 140 pounds to think that they can do these things and they're gonna throw 99, okay? So there is some physical aspect to it, of course, but I was also in really good shape, but I know a lot of guys who are my size that didn't throw hard. I've not always had a phenomenal arm. I came into pro ball sitting 90 to 92 and then slowly climbed and climbed and climbed. And I attribute that climb to understanding mechanics better. I got stronger and I understood mechanics better. For me, I mean, I could point to, we could talk about mechanics for days, and we don't have days. So I'm gonna point to the ones that helped me the most and the ones that I think are the most misunderstood and the ones that are overcoached or in some cases neglected, but for the most part overcoached. So I'm gonna talk about this front side. The biggest one for me, I feel like youth coaches, I see it all the time. The kids that come in and train with me, none of them have an efficient front side, and none of them are getting as much power as they can out of this front side. I have always been a guy that wants to separate and get my front side out over here, right? The misconception comes in when I teach a kid to load here, they think all of a sudden, and I tell them to get velocity with this, create rotational velocity, all of a sudden they think that they need to rip all the way over here, right? That's not what you want to do. That's the misconception that I'm talking about. When you get this front side out here and separate, all this is doing is coming straight down. For me, the reason people think that it's ripping this way is the timing of our chest coming through. As we're turning to throw, this back hip drives, right, and delivers our chest. Whether you understand that or not, that you're doing that, that's what's happening. As you're throwing, this chest is coming forward because of this back hip. The chest is not being delivered by this yanking that way, right? I know in John's videos, he talks about stopping this front side right here, and that's exactly right. But it's not from here to here, unless you're a sidearm guy, right? But if you're gonna throw from wherever your arm slot is, you wanna, if my release point is right here with this glove, or with this ball, I wanna get my glove right in that same window, right? I'm gonna get my glove there, and then from there, if I don't rotate, my front side would look like this. Straight down. Go look at a video of Nolan Ryan. This dude's front side was like big and out front. The analogy that I like is like, if you've ever chopped wood before, and you have the stump right here, and you've got the axe, nobody chops wood like this, right? Nobody, like, your front side doesn't need to go, right? Doesn't make any sense. If you've got the log that you're trying to chop right here, you take that axe and you do a big circle, boom, because that creates the most power. Same thing with this. Get this out here and you pull it down like your log is out here that you're trying to chop. And when you pull it down, if you time it up perfectly with this chest being delivered by the back hip pushing, all of a sudden you're no longer throwing the ball with this arm. this rotation is forcing this arm to come through, and all you're doing is flicking out front. And this is all assuming your arm action is nice and clean, right? And you got plenty of videos on that, right?
I do, but I love the way that you explain it because it makes so much sense. And I teach my guys, or made a bunch of videos about when they're separating their hands, we want them 45 degrees closed. If I'm pitching here to home, 45 degrees closed or more. I was almost 90 degrees when I separated here. And just like you said, I almost felt like this leverage before I turned it over. It was like here, and I turned it over and tried to come straight down,
right,
which in turn kind of put everything else in line.
Right, and then the other part is you were a sidearm guy and your front side was right here and you threw the ball from right there.
Exactly.
Right? I'm a high 3/4, so my front side goes right here, and when I pull it down, it brings my arm to the exact same spot, and then this drops my left shoulder that creates this plane to get this straight line, to get this out front, and then we've nailed it.
That's another great point too, that your shoulders kind of want to be in line with the arm. If your elbows kind of tucked down below your shoulder tilt, then you're doing something inefficient. You're kind of pushing the ball and getting away. Talk a little bit about, I know we talked about it in a previous video, and I know this is probably the biggest thing that helped you throw fast and stay safe, but talk a little bit about the arm path in the back.
Yeah, the backside arm action. The biggest problem with a lot of people, everybody wants to lay this thing back, right? And I talked about in another video, turning the ball towards your head, the neutral hand position is gonna help you increase that layback, right? That external rotation. But even then, if you do that right, and you do a scap load right, if you do it all too early, it's all wasted. It's all completely wasted. Because everybody wants to load back here and sling this arm up behind their head so that the hitter can see the ball behind their head. Once that's behind your head, now if this goes, this is now dragging, and you're gonna end up with a lot of pain here, and you've leaked a lot of velocity out that way more than likely. What I believe, we talked about this earlier, like you wanna delay everything as long as possible. And when we talk about delaying, everybody talks about driving down the mound and fighting rotation with the hips. That's exactly right, but it also applies to this arm action on the back side. We don't wanna lay this thing back early at all. At all. Look at the way an infielder throws. They get the ball right here, they field the ball, they bring the ball up right here, they get flexion, and they throw the ball. That's how they do it. You can watch every big leaguer the way they throw. Boom, 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 right there. Pitching is no different. All you're doing is trying to get into this flexed position and then throw the ball. Everything up until that point is simply getting your arm into position and building momentum down the mound. So if you're laying this back too early, that's not a right position. You want to delay that layback, get down the mound. I would say if you can practice you can load back here if you want to, but don't start laying back until you're about to land. And then from there, you get the ball turned towards your head. If you can land like this, you see guys land like this all the time, whether you believe it or not. You gotta stop the video at the exact right moment. And then from there, if that layback happens really quick, that guy's throwing gas, absolutely.
Let's talk about now the training aspect of pitching velocity, because obviously mechanics are huge in keeping you safe and free from injury, and they can increase your pitching velocity for sure, 100%. But I want to hear your philosophy on like strength training and explosive training. How does that play, and maybe how has your philosophy changed along the years? So
I've done a little bit of everything in my career. I've been the dude that squats 400 pounds. I've been the dude that runs a bunch of sprints and think that's good enough. I've been the dude that ran poles all day, as dumb as we know that is now. I've been that guy, right? So I've gone back and forth. The hardest I ever threw in my life up until now, at this point I think I might beat it, but I haven't pitched in a game in a year, thanks COVID. But I was strong. I deadlifted, I squatted, I did heavy lifts. But I also feel like I was probably moving pretty slow at that time. My philosophy at this point that I've seen work for countless guys, the pros that I've trained with, and what I'm working towards myself is being lean and mean and fast. Doing everything you can to train fast twitch muscles, doing a lot of isometric exercises that will build those fast twitch muscles. If you don't know what isometrics are, a wall sit, a lunge hold, sit here and hold this as long as you can. You start to shake, it's building fast twitch muscles. You do those things, start to move faster, all of a sudden you're able to delay these laybacks, everything I'm just talking about. If you don't have fast twitch muscles, you can't delay anything. You got to get ready to go because your arm can't move that fast, right? Train to move fast. Throw hard every day. Move your arm fast and late. At the very end, quickness. That's what we're looking for.
You know, there's some studies out there. I don't know the specific studies. I'll try to look them up and put them in the description, but there was a study I remember reading about vertical jump, how it relates to pitching velocity, and also 60-yard dash. So faster guys, more explosive guys, tend to pitch faster.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense. Train to be an explosive athlete.
Right, and
Yeah.
I'll give you the study that I read recently on isometric training and how that leads to fast twitch muscles. It doesn't make a lot of sense, like to just look at it and say, how does a wall sit train fast twitch muscles? You're
Right.
just sitting there, right? But there's some good research on it. I'll give it to you. You can throw it in the. It's free. It's on the internet. So.
We'll put the link in the description
Yeah.
down there. What else as far as velocity goes? Here's a little controversial topic. Weighted balls? No weighted balls? Have you used them before? Did you
yeah.
like them? Do you not like them?
So me personally used weighted balls for years. Weighted plyo balls. A lot of decel stuff with the 2-pound green ball, you know, decelerators, 21 ounce all the way down to 3 ounce plyo balls. I've never been a big fan of weighted baseballs, and this is just a personal preference. If you throw weighted baseballs, cool, that's great. For me personally, I've tried them. When I throw a weighted baseball, you're throwing the ball to a partner, right? So if I'm throwing to you, now I'm having to time up my throw with a load that is not 5 ounces, and I'm trying to throw it accurately because you don't want to hit your partner in the shins, right? Whenever I attempted to time that up and throw that accurately, it messed me up when I went back to 5 ounces, at least temporarily. So I didn't like that. Some people do. I'm not an expert on that. I don't like the way it feels. Plyo balls, as in throwing a squishy ball into a wall with no regard for where it's going. The wall's directly in front of you, you just chuck it into the wall. Lots of value, I think, in feeling different movements, right? I used to do the heavy ones thinking that I was building arm strength. I've kind of changed my position on it. Now the heaviest ball I throw is actually 7 ounces. Just going back to training to move fast. If you throw a ball that's 14 ounces, you're actually training your arm to move slow, I feel like. 7 ounce balls, I throw them at the ground to have gravity help me, and then 3 ounce balls helps me move my arm faster. And those are the things that have been working for me recently. I've been slowly climbing, coming out of the lockdown. My velocity was way down, and the stuff that I've done to build it back up has been great, and that's what I've been doing.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, I know you said the arm path and the front side has been the biggest thing for you. Can you touch on quickly, we don't have to go too in depth, but touch on quickly like what you're trying to accomplish with like your legs and drive wise? How does that all, are you a tall and fall guy? Are you dropping drive somewhere in between? Are you really pushing? Are you falling? Give us that take.
So I'm right in between. For years I was a big like stay over the rubber until I did the research and start moving. Now I'm big on the initial move here, and I'm just trying to load back this way. I'm trying to get a glute load. I'm trying not to let this knee come forward over my toe. If this knee comes forward over the toe, you've all of a sudden, I mean, you can try standing in this position. It's not comfortable, it's not powerful. You know, if you really wanted to hurt somebody and punch them in the face, would you go like this? No, you would freaking rear back this way. Everybody rotates back this way and then goes that way. So, and then the other part of it, I talked about the front side, right? Getting it up into my window where I'm gonna release the ball. I wanna get my lead leg underneath that glove. So when we talk about rotational velocity, it's kind of the same thing, the axe analogy, right? It's kind of the same thing with this leg. I wanna get that out here underneath the glove, and then when it goes, it's the same thing. It's creating just more rotational velocity, right? This leg is a lot heavier than this arm. So if I get this thing rotating, and then we can talk about lead leg block a little more in depth, but basically, you know, getting that in, and then when this back hip delivers the chest, that causes that lead leg block, right? So that's my biggest ones, is trying to get this foot, trying to glute load, meaning sit backwards. If there's a chair back here, I'm trying to squat down into it, getting this foot here, and then rotating it home, and that's it.
That's great stuff. I mean, we are pretty much right on the money for as far as how we used to pitch and the philosophy wise.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it, man. I love it. Guys, if you're trying to pitch faster, there's nobody to take it better to take it from than someone who pitches fast up to 99 miles an hour, but more importantly, hasn't had any major injuries. Like that's, you know, you definitely want to pick his brain. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave, if it's cool, I'll leave your information down in the description so where they can get in touch with you. He's in the Asheville, North Carolina area right now, still playing, so he might be, while you're watching this video, might be somewhere else playing. But hit him up, talk to him, maybe get some training. If you're interested, definitely go check out the watch straps that he's got going on. Really cool stuff. I'll leave the link down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comment section what you guys are working on right now in regards to velocity and how you're trying to increase your velocity. And I'll hop down there, we'll chat a little bit. And if you got any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. Thank you so much, Craig. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.